Over 100 million genocide right here on the lands of the Americas. That's Canada, US, and Mexico. Most people don't realize the genocide that took place amongst Native Americans. I come from a Native American background, and I don't forget what took place. I have a place in my heart where I still fill it with love, even though most of my culture was wiped out very quickly. And it can sure be a kick in the crotch when you're trying to find family records that have been destroyed. I can only go back about maybe 2 generations at best, being what the English call Micmac. Mi'kmaq is how we say it. Regardless, the point of this video is this. We're all going to hand down a story sooner or later in our lifetime. I hope that you do. And in that story, let it be through beads, which natives love, or any type of other trinkets, believe it or not. You want to make your choices correct. I often wonder why people go out and invest in things. Some invest in it because they're fear-driven. Some are investing because they'd rather hold something versus nothing, like myself. That's not fear-driven. I just don't trust government, period. So,
you may have heard that Native Americans were killed by smallpox. But here's the sinister part. We have evidence of Europeans plotting to infect them. Here's the actual communication. You're looking at a picture of the letter where they conspired to use germ warfare in order to exterminate Native Americans. They uncovered these letters where they actually plot biological warfare in order to exterminate Native Americans. Amherst first raised the possibility of giving the Indians infected blankets in a letter to Colonel Henry Bouquet, who would lead reinforcements to Fort Pitt. Bouquet discussed the matter in a postscript to a letter to Amherst on July 13, 1763. Here's a smoking gun. P.S. I would try to inoculate the Indians by means of blankets that may fall in their hands, taking care, however, not to get the disease myself. As it is a pity to oppose good men against them, I wish we could make use of this Spaniards' method and hunt them with English dogs, supported by rangers and some light horse, who I think would effectively extirpate or remove that vermin. Extirpate, exterminate, by giving them disease. On July 16th, Amherst replied, also in a postscript, P.S. You will do well to try to inoculate the Indians by means of blankets, as well as to try every other method that can serve to extirpate this execrable race. I should be very glad your scheme for hunting them down with dogs could take effect. On July 26th, Bouquet wrote back, I received yesterday your Excellency's letters of 16th with your enclosures. The signal for Indian messengers and all of your directions will be observed. Extirpating, which means exterminating, Native Americans.
So how did they get the blankets to the natives? Sneaky.
One of the things we often hear about in connection with the smallpox epidemics of 1862 in British Columbia is smallpox blankets. This is one of the ways in which the eyewitnesses and community leaders remember that smallpox arrived in their communities. Now, when these blankets arrived, they were usually new blankets. They'd been repackaged and put up as new. And so how was this done? They said that the disease lay on top of the cloth in what looked like snakeskin. So this skin had been harvested from smallpox victims and then laced into the blankets, and the blankets were then repackaged for distribution in native communities.
Feeling a little bit snuggled up to the truth yet? Nice warm blanket of pox. You know, after 100 million people were wiped out through time, but let's just take out the bulk right away through the first form of chemical warfare. No one. Starved out, wiped out in the middle of the night. Kids, children, pummeled. What takes place next? In the hands of government. It goes on. The atrocities were even worse. And I'm sure if you've done any homework on this, you'll understand very quickly the boarding schools that took place. Forced into a new culture. Forced to learn a different language. Forced never to speak your language. Forced to act and behave and accept a God you knew nothing about. These kids look Indian to you? Forced to shave your hair? Forced to wear clothing that was foreign? This took place right on the soil that we live on today.
I have nobody, no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. Miles, Many hundreds of miles away from home, I have nobody. Taken from home, stripped, haircut, beating, slapping, whipping, culture shock. Running, 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 out of breath, have to get out of here. I am on foot, they have horses and cars, and they catch me, beating, slapping, whipping, culture shock. Don't speak Indian, they stammer with cold eyes, holding a whip. My back sore, dripping with blood. Don't speak Indian, they tell me as they force soap into my mouth. Then I begin to choke. The soap has gone down, caught in my throat, coughing, coughing, coughing. Out of breath, I have to get out of here. I never get a breath of fresh air. I am free, I can go home. They can't follow me on their horses. I leave no tracks. Their dogs can't track me. I leave no scent. Their fists, whips, and bats can't hurt me. I have no body. My spirit lives on forever. I wrote this poem after watching a documentary of boarding schools at Fort Lewis College. It is a combination of what I saw many Native children doing in this documentary, escaping from the boarding school, and it's a story about an uncle I have never met or known of. My mom said he choked on soap and died. I'm guessing at St. Andrews, or a boarding school on the Umatilla Reservation, for speaking Indian.
Most people never connect the genocide and colonization together. Simply put, I don't understand why someone would buy a silver coin with an enslaver's head posted upon it. What story would you tell if someone younger asked you, who is this lady? What story could you say? Would you just talk about the mainstream media's hype and how kind the imperialistic forces were? It's a simple question I ask every person that I meet when they talk to me about money, if there is such a thing. And if there is, then it's usually in silver and gold. My question is this. It's 4 simple words. Do you trust government? Do you trust government? My answer has always been straightforward on this. Never trust government. It's that easy. And as you look in your rearview mirror of life, you can understand very quickly why. The coins that you hand down and the stories that you tell should have meaning in a world that's always plugged in electronically to something that's mind-numbing, useless dribble to keep you occupied. I hope you get a chance to hand down a coin to someone younger and tell the story of truth. And there's many truths out there to be told. With that being said, I hope you're safe. Much love, Mr. P. Crackers.